All right. So this is the first time I'm doing online. Last two session was in person. So like in the class, I encourage you can unmute yourself or you can type in the group chat. If you have any questions, yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and interrupt me. And because everyone can learn from questions as well, right? Or if you're a bit shy, you can just type in the group chat as well. That's fine. Okay, so today as you saw the announcement, there will be two parts to the lecture. First, it will be a lecture till 7:55, 7:50. Then we'll have the speaker. And so for the speaker, please log in to the separate Zoom room that is provided in your email. And then after the speakers talk at 9, we'll come back for the lesson, right? So there'll be like say a 1 hour. You can take it as maybe just sit back and kind of listen to what the speaker has to say. If you have any questions, do ask some questions as well to the speaker. Importantly, I encourage all of you all to log in to the speaker's Zoom room because attendance will be taken there. And this one is taken by the school, right? So just please log into that Zoom. Even on the side, maybe you're doing some other things, it's fine. Of course, pay attention. Yeah, please log into that Zoom room. Okay. One more thing, two more things I would like to highlight. So, in case for those who did not see the announcement, there is a video posted on the last part of the last lecture on the Greeks. So I know some people feedback to me that the lecture recording from the classroom stopped at 3 hours, and we did went over time around 10 minutes. So I actually have recorded the topic on Greeks and posted it on our tutorial site in the module section, right? So module, you will see a section called recording. So I have recorded and placed it there for your viewing. One more thing is for the class test this coming Saturday. For those who have not gotten the approval to not attend the class, meaning that you have some valid reason, please attend the class test. And if for whatever reason you cannot attend the class test and you're sick, right, on the day itself, remember get a doctor's memo, right? The school is quite strict on this. Normally, if you have an MC without the doctor's memo, you would basically not be given approval to waive the class test and shift the grade to your final exam, right? So just be very careful. Read the instructions carefully in terms of how we get a waiver. Do you have any questions on the class test first? I know some of you all asked whether you can give tips. Unfortunately, cannot because yeah, it will not be fair for the class. But I would say reviewing what we have covered in the last two lectures, including the lecture examples, which are very important. So focus on lecture examples, those will help you for a class test. Do we have any questions regarding class tests? No? Okay. If you do, you can ask it later at the end of the lesson. If we have a bit of time, that's fine too, we can ask. So today's lecture is a bit lighter. That's why there's time for this speaker to come. So I believe we might not need a separate lecture recording for this lecture. Okay, so let's kickstart today's lecture first. Okay, so this lecture we're talking about option strategies. So on this lecture, there are just a few things that you need to consider, right? So now we are combining various options that we have learned in the last two sessions and coming up with certain kind of strategy, right? And we have names for it like protective put, covered call, which then the main thing you need to understand is what is First of all, the formula for the value of this option, what is the profit of this option, and the break-even point. So usually there's these three parts that we'll look at, right? What's the value, what is the profit, and what's the break-even. And in all these options, that's what we're interested in. And normally how I like to teach this topic is not to memorize formulas. As you probably know in the last lecture, I kind of show you about the binomial tree method, where in the binomial tree, I kind of encourage you not to memorize the formulas, but understand how to do it. So in this topic, similarly, I'd like to try to show you the payoff diagram or the profit diagram, and from there determine the various formulas, right? So if you compare it with the lecture slides in the tutorial group, or in the lecture group, I mean, you'll notice that they kind of have a lot of formulas, right? Maybe with limited diagrams, which I feel that it's not so intuitive and it's hard to understand. So you'll see that we'll use quite a lot of diagrams here. So, broad overview again, we are just focusing on various strategies. And each strategy, you just need to know three things: how to determine the value, profit, and break-even point, right? Three things. Okay. And we avoid memorizing formula. Okay. All right. So, the first one. So, first thing is this thing called protective put. Have anyone heard of this protective put before? And yes, what are they typically used for? You can type in a group chat, or everyone can unmute yourself as well. Hedging, okay. What kind of hedge are you trying to do here for this protective pool? Yeah, okay. I see some right answers. So hedgeable price drop. Yeah, limit losses. Yeah, very good. Hedge against volatility. That one might be more specific on loss, right? The loss side. Put call parity, right? Yes. So in all this strategy, we based on the put call parity, but this one we're not going to uh, go into so much detail at this point in time. But yeah, you're right. Okay, so uh, we are trying to protect against the downside risk here. So in this protective put, we have a long stop and a long put, right? So the pair of a stock, as you know, is like this. Sorry, the payoff diagram, not payoff, but the profit diagram is just a straight line. Or your put, on the other hand, is like this, right? So how we understand this is with this and this. So this part, can you see, is going down and going up. So it becomes a flat line here, right? And then when it goes up and goes flat, then it goes to upward slope like this. So that's how you kind of like combine multiple profit diagrams. So a long stop and a long put in this case. So it protects against the stock falling below the strike price. So if you notice, instead of a downwards here like this, we have a flat here. It's very flat, right? So without hedge, the maximum loss is 20, but with a hedge, your maximum loss is $2 here. Okay. So you have kind of hedge. So this is just a kind of overview, but let's kind of understand the three components that we talk about, right? The value, the profit, and the break even. So let's go the first one first, the value. So the value of this kind of combined strategy is easy when you know the components. So remember, we are long a stock, long a put, right? So a long stock is just a ST. A long put is just maximum of this 0, comma, x minus ST, right? So that is the value of your protective put at expiry, right? A long stock and a long put. Now, in this case, given that we know the diagram is like this, right? The diagram is like this. So when the stock price is above the exercise price here, so this exercise X, so if it's above here, this basically means that the the strategy is behaving like a stock, right? It's above that point, which means that your profit, remember your profit symbol is this chair, like a small little chair. So basically, your profit is just the stock price, because since at this point you are behaving like a stock ST, right? So it's just the stock price minus any cost related to initially acquiring your stock and acquiring your put, because these are long positions, right? So these are two long positions here. So this is basically your profit. So the stock price minus any cost relating to acquiring your stock and your put initially. Now, what's the break even? So the break even basically means that your stock price at the end, expiry T, must be equals to your long position, right? So this is the cost, money that you have to pay, right? These are money that you pay. So it's negative to you, right? Money is going up. So it must basically be equals to your stock plus your cost of put. Now, if you are in a position of this part here, which is kind of the flat part, which is a loss, where you are where your stock price is less than X. At this point in time, you know that what profit you get is basically your strike minus any of your costs. Yeah. See a raise of hand? Yes. Do you have a question? No, no question. Okay. Yeah, if you do have a question, you can put them in a group chat and then we will answer it along the way as well. Okay, so if it's less than X, the stock price is less than X, then you cannot break even. Basically, your profit is your X minus any cost relating to the cost of acquiring your stock plus the book. Now, just something to take note here, a small little comments is that all these formulas, right? Everything you see from this slide and other strategies are all relating to having one protective put. But if you do look at a question, most of the time they tell you how many protective put is it referring to. So just multiply accordingly to get your right answer. Do you have any questions for this protective put? So normally how questions will ask is they'll ask you how suggest some kind of structure in terms of your options. And so you need to first identify what's the purpose of the protective put. And so based on this, you can suggest, okay, because you have to protect against the downside risk, you have a protective put. Okay, we have an example here to come illustrate this. So we have a $100 Apple stock and a stock protective put, a put at 145, right? And this is the cost of the put. Okay, your stock price at time equals to 0 is 145 here, all right? And so your profit will be given by, okay, let's say if your stock price is more than your strike price, which means that you are in a position of this, right? Where it kind of acts like a stock, right? So it's just the stock price minus the cost relating to acquiring your long stock and the cost relating to acquiring your put position, right? Because you are long stock ST and P, right? P put, P equals to put. Okay. And then if it's than the less than the so stock price is less than the strike, so you're in a position of the negative region, which means that you just take your strike price minus any cost related to it, and this gives you your loss. And this loss here is basically your maximum loss that you would experience, right? Because your protective hook protects you against further losses. In your protective hook, your break even equals to, of course, the cost relating to long your stock and long your put position. Okay. So there's another example here. I'll let you go through this. Is just another example to illustrate the protective put. So what I like to highlight here is a protective put provides some downside protection with some upside potential. Upside potential is kind of unlimited, so it's quite good. Um, Important thing to note is that the protective put can be very expensive because when you buy a put position, a long put position, they can cost a lot, right? So buy a put strike exercise of this can cost this. If your exercise is higher, right, easier to exercise, you can see the cost increase a lot. And of course, you're not only buying one put, right? Normally you buy 100 put. So actually the cost increase is significant in this case. Right? Okay, the next strategy we are going to look at is a covered call. So just by looking at this diagram here, right, a covered call, why will you use a covered call position? Anyone like to suggest why will you use a covered call position here? Premium, that's good. Earn premium while maintaining stock position. You're right. Okay, that's correct. Because you're holding a short position. Yes, short-term strategy. You're still holding the position. That's correct. So you basically have a short, you are shorting a call, right? Meaning you're getting money here. You're getting some money. So yes, you kind of a short-term position to earn this premium. And then you also have underlying stock. Of course, when you earn a premium, what happens? So when you have a stock, the stock goes like this on the payoff. But with a short call position, you see it's like this. So it caps your upside potential, right? When you combine these two, basically what happens is that it caps your upside potential like that. Maximum gain is limited, precisely. That's right. But remember, because you have a short position, you get some cash, right? So if you know that the stock is not going to go up like crazy like this, you have a view that okay, the stock is just going to be actually at the strike price at X here, then this strategy is perfect because you still earn money from your short position. Um, this is some comments that's not the most effective in removing concentration risk. Here, this is a short-term income strategy. You do not pay, since you do not pay for any upside potential, but in fact, you are actually shorting the call to get some income. Then you kind of must be penalized by the upside, right? Penalized meaning your upside becomes flat. So this is a small comment that risk management is not free. You know, if you are going to earn some money from a short position, you're going to cap your upside potential. All right. Similarly, like what we mentioned, we are going to look at three things: the value, the profit, and the break even. Right. So for our value, knowing that a covered call is your long your stock and short of your call. So you have a long stock position ST and your short call position here. Right. Your profit, on the other hand, would be the value of your call at expiry minus the cost of your position. And what's the cost of your position? Your cost of position is your stock price, because you're buying a stock, and what you get from the short position of the call, right? So this is actually this part here minus cost of call is actually money to you. Money plus, right? You're getting money here. Because when this minus and minus were positive, so you're getting money. And this is your profit of your call, your covered call. Now, in this form, your break even happens where? Where your ST can cover the cost relating to your buying of the stock, which and then deduct away the short call position which you are getting money in. And this will happen when your ST is less than X. Right? Uh, so this is your profit, and then your break even here is basically ST when it's equals to this one. That's where you um, break even. So in the diagram, let's just have a look at the diagram. Basically is when it happens somewhere here, right? When your profit is count zero, because you have count break even at ST minus the cost, the cost. Any questions? I'll pause here for a short while. Good. All right. So just this example, the same example here, we have a Apple stock and Apple call. And then when we are at a position of ST less than the strike price, meaning we are here, right? We are here, then the profit is given by, depending on the stock price, of course, is ST minus the cost of longing or buying the stock, uh, plus the short position on your call, which means it's income to you. That's why you plus 7.1. On the other hand, because you are in a covered call position, when your ST is more than the strike price, your upside potential is in cap, right? Since it's in cap, uh, you are not able to gain more, even if your stock price keep on increasing, right? So at a strike of 145, your maximum profit is 653, which is given here maximum profit, right? That's the max you can go because you're being capped. Your break even is your cost of the longing or buying the stock minus the cost of call because you are taking a short position on your okay. Right. So this exercise, I'll let you go through it. Basically, it's the same as this. And this is typically how they can test you on such questions, where they give you this scenario, they ask you to do some calculations, and always note that the questions go about this three parts: value, profit, and break even. Right? This part of maximum, minimum profit, you can kind of derive it. Right? What's the maximum? Given the diagram, we know that a our position is like this, right? So your maximum profit, it's being kept at this area. Your maximum loss, it's here, right? Basically, it's the cost relating to your um, covered call position. All right. So we have a question here. Suppose you would like to, if you wish to buy a stock and protect yourself against downside movement, you can you can consider both covered call and protective put. Which strategy is preferred? I already see answer. Yeah, protective put. That's right. Uh, I guess the rest kind of agrees as well. But why? Why? Do you want to say why? Why protective put? Downside, yes, you protect downside, but upside is unlimited. That's a good part. Yeah, downside and upside is unlimited. Yeah, you can still buy a stock. Protective put is a downside, but you can still buy the stock. Yeah, you're right. So that's correct. Okay. This part I put as extra info, but I think it's a very good um structure to understand. As you probably know, there are many structures. So whatever we covered is kind of limited. If you go online, you'll see many other structures. But this one I thought was interesting to cover, even though it's not really in the syllabus. But if a question is open-ended, you can still cite this structure, right? Okay, so this structure is a collar. Why is it interesting is this. What you're going to do is you're going to have a long put with a strike of x1, right? And a short call with a strike of x2, and then you have a share plus a share. So just looking at structure, so the structure is going to be like this, right? Just looking at structure, why would you want to have this structure called collar? Anyone like give a try? Why is this collar so interesting? Okay, so maybe this was a bit difficult, right? So, hedge downside for free. You are right. You are kind of right. Limited upside and downside. You want to control both profit and loss. Yes. Okay. So you're about there. Yeah. We want to control both profit and loss. You're right. So you're actually getting some. What is happening here? So normally, right, a stock. Let me see. A stock goes like this, right? You can go all the way. You can have some losses. You can have some gains. Now, by having this long and short position, basically what's happening here is these are supposed to pay off each other. The long put and the short call supposed to pay off each other. So they are the same price. The amount of money you get from a short call is going to pay off your long put. But by doing this, you kind of limit your upside potential, but you also limit your downside loss. So you protect your share. So instead of going infinite like this, right? You can't protect it here, not here, but here and here, right? So you cut off the upside and downside. Yeah. So the idea is that you own the stock already, and so you just want to cap the downside risk, but you want this cap to be free in a sense, but by shorting a call. Right? So if your idea is that the stock price is only going to go up this amount here, like this, then you want to get but you are worried that the stock price will drop like crazy, like here, then you can buy this collar position. Okay. So again, what we look at is how to determine the value expiry. So we have a stock, we have a short call, and a long put. Right? And you see that the profit is just basically your value here, the value of your position, minus the stock price, initial stock price. And the reason why, so why did we not include the premium on the options, right? Premium meaning the long put position, the premium of that, is because the cost of the call, the long put is going to be offset by the cash you get from shorting the call. So basically, you're getting a free insurance, free in the sense of having a short call position covering the cost of a long put. So free insurance, this is basically a free insurance, but without paying any premium on this insurance. But by doing so, you necessarily have to forego some upside potential to hedge your downside risk. Okay, let's have a look at this example here. So suppose we have a put with an exercise price of this, right? This is a put 1950. The premium on the put is 56.01. We need a call that gives us the same premium, right? 56.01. And this occurred at an exercise price of 2060. So we buy the put with exercise of this, causing this, and we also sell the call with this high exercise price, higher exercise price, but for you do get this 56.01. So this transaction requires no upfront cash. So this position, the value of this position basically is your stop price at ST, which the question gives you at 2070, right? 2070, you plug in the values of 2070, right? This one basically is 0, and then this one is 10, right? For your short call position. So your value of your column is 2060 here. Now, your profit, on the other hand, is your value minus the cost of buying your stock, right? So cost of buying your stock at the start is 2000, right? Given here. So this is your profit. So the risk of return with hedging. So with this collar position, you have earned a profit of 60, right? 60 divided by the initial upfront that you have to pay. What's the initial upfront? The initial upfront is this, right? 2000. So this you get a 3% return. Now, without hedging, based on just the pure price movement, you would have gotten 2070, right? And your initial is 2000. So you have actually gained 70. And so you see, your upside is actually a lot more. But your collar kind of reduce your upside potential because it's a free insurance on your downside risk. Do you have any questions? So again, we continue with this same scenario, but now let's say if the stock price drop to 1900 or 1900. In this case, recalculate again your collar position. So we'll not go through this, but your profit at the end of the day at a 1900 stock price at expiry will give you a net loss of $50. Now, in this collar position, you will have 50 divided by 2000, if you minus 2.5. Now, if this was really to happen without the hedging, you will have what? You will have lost $100 state, right? So 100 divided by 2000, you have lost 5%. So you can immediately see how your collar has protected your downside risk, and you lose 2.5 instead of 5%. Okay. So moving on, we have this thing called money spreads, and there are many kind of spreads. So we are just going to show you, I think four kind of different spreads, but there are so many, right? So if you go to Google on Google or even ChatGPT, you'll see that there's infinite number of spreads, because basically a spread strategy, right, is a money-making kind of strategy. So spread strategy is you buy one option. So let's see what it's going to say. Buy one option and sell the other option, and they can be based on different parameters. The most common is based on different exercise price or different time. So if it's different time, it's called time spread. Different exercise called money spread. So for the purpose of this course, we are just going to focus on money spread here, right? So meaning that you're going to buy a spread of 145 call, and then you buy another 150 call. So based on the different payoff, different price, the spread is basically how you can earn money from that, right? The term spread is basically how you can earn certain kind of money from this strategy. So on this point, I also want to, before we go into this bull spread. I also want to highlight also, in case you see questions that is more open-ended, uh, particularly because this will be covered more in your GPA or even your ECA, right? Do not restrict yourself from what we have covered today in these strategies, right? So you are open to use other strategies if you know them from other modules, or if you are like a trainer, you might know them. You are free to use them as long as, of course, use it rightly in the first place. But the focus, of course, is more on what we've covered today. But do not restrict yourself because there's just infinite number of strategies out there. Right. So for our bull spread, basically we're going to design this spread that so that we make money when the markets go up. And as the name of spread goes, bull spread. So we are going to long a call position with one price. So we're going to long a call with one price, and we're going to short a call with a different price, right? At a different strike as well. Okay, so what's happening here? So we long a call x1 like this, and we short another call like this, right? So combined strategy looks like almost like a collar, right? But we have different strikes. Okay, the same thing we're going to look at the same three things: value, what is the profit, and what is the break even. So in this strategy, the value at expiry is we are going to have first a long call at x1 and a short call at x2. And we know that a the cost of our call will be C1 minus C2, where there's going to be some cash outlay that's going out, right? Because C1 is going to cost more than your C2, right? Because your C1 is going to at a lower strike, right? So C1 minus C2 is the cost that the difference in cost, which is what you have to pay for this bull spread strategy. Now, our profit, on the other hand, is basically what we have to pay now, which is C1 minus C2, minus the value that you get, right? Or the value that you get at expiry minus the cost of C1 minus C2. So I'm just going to highlight here. So this is the value of your strategy, right? Which is this one here, value of the strategy, minus I'm going to use a different color, the cost of this um, spread, which is C1 minus C2. So this will be a profit. And then for your break even, it will be somewhere here. I'm just going to flip back. It will be somewhere here, right? Between x1, x2, which is this part here. Basically, this is your break even here like this, right? Between x1 and x2. So your break even is somewhere between, is given by x1 plus the cost of your strategy. Any comments, any questions for this bull spread? Very good. Thank you. Okay, very good. All right. So, okay, let's look at this example here. I'd like to go through this. So, in a bull spread, the strategy looks like a flat up flat, right? So, when your ST is less than both your strike price, meaning your position of this part here, right? This part here. Okay. At this part, what are we looking at? Basically, it's just the cost of your spread strategy, right? Because we are below both of the strike. So this is nothing, and basically it's just your cost of your strategy here. Just a reminder to include the number of spreads you're buying. In this case, you're buying 100 spreads. And so this is your loss position. Now, when you are somewhere in between ST, between the two strike, then for your first position here, we're going to make some money already, right? Now, your second strike is still going to make zero, nothing. And so what happens after is basically de depending on the ST, right? You're going to make some money on your first strike X1 and the cost relating to buying this bull spread strategy. Last but not least is the best position that you can be, meaning your ST, your stock price, is above both of the strikes, the strike X1 and X2. And in this case, the this would have a value, right? The first one will be ST minus X, with X1, and then the second one will be ST minus X2, and we know both x1 and x2, right? So in this case, we can start plugging in the values, and we know the cost of your strategy is 2.9, as we have calculated here, right? Your cost of strategy is 2.9. And so your profit, this is the maximum profit you can get, is 210, which is highlighted here as well, right? Maximum profit is 210. Okay, I want to highlight to you here that the break even is your strike X1, which is at 1.5 plus the cost of your bull spread strategy. Your maximum loss is what you have calculated earlier, right? Maximum loss is what you have calculated here. All right, so this is your bull spread. Again, I would like you to go through this. It's the same thing. You can use this as a practice to come understand how the bull spread works. Okay, this is an example. I can have a practice on this. Now, a bear spread. So a bear spread is using the is the opposite of a bull, right? So you can create a bear spread by doing what? By selling the call at a lower price. Remember, previously is you long the call at a lower price, right? Now you sell the call at a lower price, um, and buy a call at a higher price. You used to create a bear spread. However, it's not very intuitive to use calls to create a bear spread. And in most cases, we will actually use puts. And so what we do is we buy a put at a higher price of X2. So when you buy the put, it's like this, right? The payoff is like this. You buy a put at X2, and then you sell the put with a lower price at X1. So I'm just using a different color. You short the put, sorry, you short the put here like this, right? You short the put. And the combined strategy is going to be this, flat, and that, like this. So in the bear spread, generally we expect the price to go low, right? As you go low, you can earn a profit, right? So before I go to this one, can you see that if the price drop, if the stock price drop here, this area here, you start earning a profit, right? If the price go up, you are in a loss position. So the value of the position of a best spread, we have a long put with X2 given here and a short put with X1. And the cost of the strategy is your put with a higher exercise price, right? P2 minus P1. This is the cost. And similarly, your profit is basically your value of the put minus the cost relating to the put. The break even, so a break even happens in between where? So a break even happens somewhere here, right? This position here, which is somewhere below the x2 position. So it's given by x2 plus the cost relating to the bear spread position. Right. So let's look at this example again to illustrate how do we look at a bear spread. So now we have put Apple put 150 and another Apple put 145. Okay, so we have a stock price that is below both the strike, which is a position that is the best, right? You're going to earn a lot of money because it's a bear spread position, meaning that you expect the price to go down. So in this case, in a bear spread, this is going to give some value, this is going to give some value, and we know that this is the cost of our bear spread. Okay, so we plug in the strike price, and then the cost of our bear spread position, and this is the maximum profit that you'll get, right? Because we are in a position here. Because bear spread, when the price go down, we earn money. So this is the maximum profit that you can get from this position, 205. Now, let's say the stock price now is somewhere between the two strikes. So in our first strike, meaning x2, we are going to recognize something, right? We're going to recognize something here. Now, but this one is going to be still out of the money. This put position out of the money, we don't care. But then we still have to consider the cost of our bear spread. So the net position here will be something like this, depending on the ST, right? What's the stock price? And of course, if our stock price keep on going up, but we're holding a bear spread, this is very bad for us, right? This is the maximum loss we're going to make because our bear spread, we are going to earn money only when the price goes down. So in this case, we are going to have this out of the money, and basically our maximum loss is just going to be the cost of buying this bear spread, which is 295, the cost of buying the bear spread. So this will be our maximum loss given here, the cost of buying the bear spread. So in this case, recall that the break even is given by your x2 minus the cost of the bear spread. Okay. All right. So again, this example, I'll leave it to you to have a look. The same thing that we discussed in this one, right? But then this is just the numbers for you to practice. Okay. Okay. Explain why option traders often use bull spread instead of a simple call. Anyone would like to give a try? Cap loss. But then, okay, so we are in a spread position, right? Remember, spreads are money-making tools. So we're not really talking about capping. Like capping is like a collar, protective put, maybe even the covered call. The covered call is not really, but like protective put and collar. Lower overall risk, okay, better control over profit and loss. Okay, better control over profit and loss, that getting closer to the answer, right? It's something about money. Okay, so the stock, so buying the spread can increase profit. Okay, that max profit, offset premium. You're right. Okay, so it's cheaper, so higher ROI. You're right. So you're getting, you're right, really. Okay. So to explain, what does this mean? So let's say we buy a stock, right? Your stock is going to cost you 45. Sorry, 145.57. Then your ST, which is expiry, is 150, right? Your initial outlay is 145, right? You have to pay 145, to buy this stock. But if you know that your stock price is just going at expiry, expiry is just going to be 150, which means you are going to increase by only 5, then of course this is on hindsight, then you know only going to increase by 5. Of course, you don't know, right? But if you really know, because you have some insider information, you might as well buy this bull spread of this, right? See this bull spread at you have a 145 call, you buy 145 call and you short a 150 call. And the cost of this is what? Can you see that it's just 2.9, 2.9 times 100, because you buy 100 of it, but it's just 2.9. So your outlay is so little, $2.9 compared to actually buying this stock, which is going to cost you so much. And because you know that the price is going to be 100, it's going to be 150, you are going to be a position of maximum profit, which means you're going to get this amount of money, 210 profit divided by the initial cost of only 29290, which means you're going to get so much money here. Yeah. So your spread position is really more on having minimum outlay for maximum amount of profit. So spread is really to make money. Um, but of course, this is on hindsight that you know that the price is going to increase by to 150, and that's the max it's going to increase. Of course, that might not be the case. Then you might not be making, you might lose out because the stock price can actually just keep on going up, 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 and then buying the stock might be better. Right? So if you take one 150 divided by 145.57, this will give you I think around 3% return, right? You're just going to get a 3% return, unlike buying this, which is going to give you 72% return. So this is the purpose of a spread position. So just be careful. Your spread position is not for you to limit losses and all. It's really about money making. All right. Okay. Before we go on to the butterfly spread, this is the time that we're going to log off. So I'm just going to pause the recording, and then we're going to log off. Um,